that's pretty core archetypal stuff. The devouring mother, the mother who eats the parent that eats the child.
Mm,
In the Greek myths, you have, I think, Kronos
mm,
devouring the newly born god so they don't supplant him. Like
mm.
there's a whole thing with the parent that devours the child. Um, but the mermaids do that, and that gives them power to seduce men. Um, and in that moment, we have a Veri has this break of like, oh man, I don't belong here. He remembers that he doesn't belong here. He remembers that, his feet are made for the human world.
Mm.
And in fairy tales, once you have that realization, you were cast out. You were cast out of the other realm. You were cast out of the magical realm,
Yeah.
because you don't really belong there, or whatever, however you want to word it. In his case,
Yeah.
he's not made for it, and so he gets hit with the staff and wakes up 20 years later thinking it's the next day, which again, very common fairy realm myth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that reminded me a little of Rip Van Winkle. There's other types of stories like that, and that also made me and he thinks it's the same day or the next day or something like that, the day that he was supposed to be married, and that again emphasizes the dreamlike quality of his being down there in the water world and the underworld, and which is also shown in other ways, like the fact that he can wish something and then it magically happens,
Mhm.
or that time doesn't work the same way. Like where each time his wife becomes pregnant with a new child, the other child stops being an infant because, needs to make room for it's just that makes sense. And so that just happens. And
Yeah.
the time
Yeah.
doesn't matter, it's not very logical, but
Yeah. It just kind of fits in the way it needs to. That's really interesting. The tying of I mean, the fairy realm, at least in like Celtic mythology, the fairy realm is that it's the time is different. You never know where you're going to enter, when you're going to exit. This isn't Celtic, it's German, but they're not that disparate.
mm,
Um, and yeah, I hadn't really thought of that in connection with the aging of the children, but yeah, you're totally right. Like that's what the story needs. So that's what happens. And no, I don't mean just the fairy tale. I mean like the story that's taking place in the fairy realm. The fairy realm seems to be a place
mm,
more of story, of dream, of that kind of architecture where things don't make sense, but they happen the way they need to.
mm.
And him recognizing that sort of after the fact, or recognizing it, maybe not being bothered by it or whatever it is, but like he sees this happening and it's
Yeah,
pointed out it's kind of a strange thing, but he just kind of rolls with it or whatever. It doesn't
yeah,
seem to have much of a response, but it's sort of a hint or prelude to him finally unraveling the feet.
yeah,
That's like him not noticing that is leaving the feet raveled. And then when he's like, no, I have to see the truth of it. What is going on? Oh my God, this place isn't real. These women are built for living in this watery realm, and I'm lost, you know.
yeah.